there, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today for one of our weekly webinars for corporate employees here at the Retirement Group. My name is Samantha, and I am in Client Services here. I moderate these weekly webinars. And in just a moment, we are going to be joined by our advisor, Michael Corgiat. Before I bring Michael on, I would like to very quickly remind you that although we work very closely with both active and retired members of several Fortune 500 companies, the Retirement Group is not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by any specific company. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors, so please keep that in mind. After Michael's presentation, I will come back on with him very quickly to read him any questions you may have entered into the Q&A chat throughout his presentation. If you find that you have a question, please feel free to enter it in the Q&A box, and Michael will answer as many questions as he can, time permitted. It is 100% anonymous, so please ask away. We encourage your participation. And with that, I am going to turn off my camera now and let Michael get started. Hey, Michael.
Thanks, Sam. And thank you, everyone. My name is Michael Corgiat. I am one of the retirement-focused advisors here at the Retirement Group. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Today, we're just going to talk about corporate layoffs. Corporate layoffs just seem to be more and more prevalent in American society today. 15.5 million layoffs just last year. 28% of Americans laid off in the past 2 years. Lots of jobs being eliminated, and probably a lot more going to be eliminated just due to automation and AI in the future, or jobs are just going to plain change and you're going to possibly need new skill sets. And you'll see here some statistics from many of the Fortune 500 companies that we focus on, AT&T being there at the top of the list. Thousands and thousands of people have been let go, and it's just so unfortunate. Today's presentation, we're going to talk just a little bit about how you might want to approach all of this and the emotions that go into how you feel when you've been laid off or surplused, and some of the things that we believe that you should do or consider doing before, during, and after, just to protect yourself. We'll start with some of the financial decisions, just to make sure you've got liquidity. You know, when you lose your job, there's a very good chance you might get a severance, but that's never a guarantee, and that severance does take a while to get paid out in many cases. So you might want to consider what we call an in-service withdrawal. An in-service withdrawal is an option to take a portion of your retirement plan and roll it over into your own IRA. You can always take the withdrawal and pay taxes on it as well. Just be careful that depending on your age, you might also subject yourself to additional penalties in addition to federal and state income taxes. But having some liquidity available to you, if you're even concerned about a potential surplus, on the sidelines. Another liquidity event that could make an awful lot of sense is a line of credit of some kind, home equity line of credit, or just a simple line of credit established at your bank. You obviously want to do this prior to losing your job, because your credit, it's certainly easier to get when you do have a job. And then finally, just increase your cash holdings. One thing I like to tell people, if you're one of those that likes to keep all of your cash in high yield money market funds or CDs, just shift some of that money into liquid savings accounts so you have it available to cover your monthly expense needs. So all three very good things to consider, as what we would say would be the first thing to consider. Don't discuss your termination before taking time to process it. I mean, yes, you'll want to talk to your spouse or your partner about it, but you definitely want to get your arms and your head around it. You've got to manage your emotions. You're going to want to talk to your boss or your boss's boss or other colleagues within the company. You got to give yourself some time, again, to get your arms around the whole idea, especially if this is the first time this has happened to you. And then many of your employers do offer opportunities, other positions within the company. You know, research the company's severance packages, research the options that are available to you as far as job opportunities. Almost all employers have job boards out there as well. You may have some negotiation options as far as your severance is concerned. It usually has been pretty much set in stone with most Fortune 500 companies. This is it, take it or leave it per se, but keep all those things in mind. Don't refuse the help that they offer you with a transition. Many employers will offer you services that will provide you with like resume writing, job interview skills. Take advantage. They're usually offered to you free of charge by your employer, and they're usually given to you for a period of, let's say, 3 to 6 months. Again, free of charge. Take advantage of all of these services. Maximize. All right. You're going to want to also aim to get a favorable reference or recommendation from your employer. So that, again, managing your emotions and not getting upset because, hey, you probably did a good job working for the company that you were with for whether it was 5 years or 25 years. And you want to be able to use your former employer and your former bosses as reference points for new jobs during interviews. This is what I've done. Resumes basically just list out what your skill sets are and your history, your historical work history. It's the references that can really give new employers the deep insight as to what kind of person that you really are. Don't ignore the opportunity to resign. I like this. Considering resignation, but there are certain things you need to be aware of, and one of those is unemployment benefits, as well as severance benefits. But if you do resign, chances are you will not qualify for unemployment. If you are surplused or just outright laid off, all of which is a job loss, chances are very good that you will qualify for state unemployment benefits in addition to the severance package that you're going to receive from your employer. Request a reference. Utilize the recommendations for future job searches. All right. You want to be able to have new employers have them give the option to contact previous employer, your bosses, and some of your previous coworkers. Again, to give that employer an idea who you really are and what you have to offer other employers, especially the ones that you're interviewing for jobs with. And strengthening your professional network. This is very, very important, period, in today's world. Social media, and the one that I like to talk about is LinkedIn. It is a professional networking program. We use it a great deal. Many of you probably have seen myself and many of my colleagues on LinkedIn. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to network. Having your resume ready to go on LinkedIn, just having your job history, your educational background, everything available on a professionally created page on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook and any other of the networking services, social media services that are out there, will be beneficial. So this is something I'd get started with this today, even if you don't think you're ever going to be laid off, because it allows you to get to know people both within your organization and other organizations that are similar to yours, and other groups that share similar experiences and similar educations and job skills, all of which are very, very, very beneficial to you. Don't miss an opportunity to ask why. Says here, petition the HR for additional time to rectify deficiencies if needed. If you have that option, chances are, the time it's done and you're going to be off payroll and on a specific amount of time, whether it's a week or a month, whatever it might be. If you do have an employment contract with your employer, you want to review it. Many of you are union employees or craft employees. You have contractual protections within your union contracts. Definitely talk with your union leadership to find out what your options are as well. And, anti-discrimination. I mean, sometimes people really believe they're being discriminated against and they were focused on, whether it's an age group or an ethnic class. Listen, keep all of your options open and available to you. Don't quit without investigating other positions within the company. I sort of mentioned this earlier. Many employers keep job boards. Honestly, if you even think that your job might be in jeopardy, you want to keep an eye on what's out there. You never know. Something could become available even before you're laid off or surplus, and it might be something that you'd enjoy. So you have the opportunity to investigate it, interview for the job, and even possibly switch positions within the organization that you work for now and not lose your job, which would be great, and show openness to join other roles and join other groups within the organization. I mean, who knows? There might be the job of your dreams out there that would be available with your current employer, and you wouldn't know it if you didn't check out these resources within the company. I definitely wouldn't talk about your layoff outside of your family for a while. You want to get, again, your arms around what's happened to you. Get your thoughts together, reflect on whatever message that you're going to share with your friends, coworkers, and your family, when you announce that you've lost your job. I mean, it's one of the three traumatic experiences that individuals have, including the death of a spouse and, ironically, retirement, is the loss of a job. And you just want to keep these things in mind before you start to advertise the fact that you've lost your job. Some factors to consider, be mindful and cautious. Don't let your emotions get out in front of you. Don't let them hurt you. Be careful choosing your words and only share what you really believe with those people that you can trust. Primarily that people that will keep it to themselves, and they won't spread rumors or innuendos that reflect you and are probably wrong. And again, just give yourself some time with all of this. We know it's very traumatic. I've worked with, I can't tell you, hundreds upon probably thousands of people who have been laid off from their jobs in my 30+ year career. We obviously help those folks get on with their lives away from that employer. And hopefully we look forward to you finding another job, unless you choose to retire, if that's an option, which is certainly something we can help you with here at the Retirement Group as well. Some adaptation strategies. Write down your emotions. This is sort of like planning with a, what do I want to call it, a diary or a notebook, just to keep your thoughts organized. Keep busy, exercise, burn off that negative energy. Something great to do, you've got some time. Consider maybe getting yourself back in shape. It'll definitely make you feel better. Self-complexity and diversifying your identity. I mean, there are all sorts of things that are available to you that, honestly, I've done some Googling myself, and it helps you get your arms around your own psyche, per se. Who am I? What do I want to be? Where do I want to go? All these sorts of things. These are all beneficial things that you want to consider, because you're going to want to go back into the job search with a very positive attitude, because people can see that, and you want people to see that. You don't want people to see you bitter or angry with your prior employer about what happened to you. Just some of the references that we used to determine some of this information. One of the things that obviously we'd be happy to do is make sure you have a plan. We at the Retirement Group offer an opportunity to put together a complimentary retirement plan, and a lot of people need it. As you can see here, 75% of Americans over the age of 50 don't have a plan in place. Let us put a plan together for you. Schedule a meeting with one of us. Why do you want to consider the Retirement Group? Well, we do a lot of work with a lot of the companies that we have focused on for 30 plus years. We've got a lot of experience. We work as a team. I've got a number of colleagues. We share information and investment guidance and advice, financial planning, all these sorts of things together. We've got offices all over the country, a great deal of knowledge on all the benefit programs that you have at your current employer and many of the employers that you might be considering going to work for. And then finally, again, I mentioned it earlier, take advantage of a complimentary financial analysis. We'd be happy to put one of these together for you. All you have to do is ask. You could call our office to get started with that at 1-800-900-5867 or email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. You can scan the QR code here on the left, which will allow you to schedule a meeting with myself or one of my colleagues. And the QR code on the right, scan it for sure and follow the Retirement Group on LinkedIn. All sorts of great information on our LinkedIn page, as well as information on future webinars. So a lot of thoughts just to share on the subject of layoffs. I'm sure we probably have a question or two. So I'm going to go ahead and hand the meeting off back to Sam and see what we've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for that presentation. We did get a couple questions. I want to make sure that we respect everybody's time. We're not going to answer all of them today, but we will answer just a few. As a reminder, if we do not get to your questions, I apologize in advance. Please, you will be redirected after this presentation to a link where you can book an appointment with either Michael Corgiat himself or one of his colleagues. You can also follow us on YouTube. We are at TRG_LLC, so please follow us there. Alrighty, Michael, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. As someone close to retirement, but not yet ready to retire, how should I navigate the job market if I suddenly find myself laid off?
That's a great question. Sounds like an individual who's not ready to retire yet, but maybe in a position that they're going to lose their job.
Right.
Well, several of the things that I mentioned during the webinar, almost all employers offer resources to allow you, to help you find another job. I mean, resume writing services, job search services, interviewing skills, teaching you interviewing skills, definitely getting set up on social media. I mentioned LinkedIn. It's a tremendous resource. I would certainly have yourself set up long before you potentially could be laid off. Even your local unemployment bureau can give you information. I've been in them before, just to search for information to help clients in the past. These are all great resources. I mean, just start Googling things. I'll be honest with you. You'd be surprised at the resources that are available to you. And then just as far as financially is concerned, some of the things I mentioned earlier, making sure that you've got liquidity available for 6 to 12 months, because it might take you a while to find a new job. If you've got retirement benefits that you qualified for, make sure you take them with you and take them with you smartly, including your 401k. They're yours now, so you want them in your own IRAs. So I hope that helped.
Great, thank you. Yes, we'll do two more. Okay. What are the tax implications of withdrawing from my 401k or pension after a layoff? And how can I minimize my tax liabilities?
That's a great question. I mentioned taking your retirement assets with you. Okay. I'll discuss just briefly, IRAs can be accessed after 59 and a half. Everything is going to be subject to federal and state income taxes if you live in a state that also has state income taxes. You want to avoid that 10% penalty. IRAs, you can at 59 and a half. If you're 55 or older, you can choose to leave a portion of or all of your 401k with your old employer, and you have the ability to access that as well prior to normal retirement without having to pay the 10% penalty. Again, 55 or older, but you still have to pay both federal and state income taxes, and that's if you leave a portion of or all of your assets at your old employer, your last employer. You can't keep doing this with previous employers prior to that. Even if you're younger than 55, there are options to access retirement assets. We can avoid federal income tax or state income tax in most cases, but we can do things like with a 72T distribution schedule to access funds if you're even younger than age 55. And then obviously, depending on the amount of money that you might need and the length of the layoff prior to a new job, you might want to take money out in one calendar year versus, you may want to split it over a couple of calendar years versus one calendar year just to minimize the federal income tax bracket that you're in. All good thoughts.
All right. You're right. All good thoughts. Okay. Last one, Michael. How long can I use my current healthcare benefits after a layoff? And what are my options for new coverage?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah. Great question.
Healthcare is so important to all of us. And for the most part, all of us do have employer provided healthcare that is subsidized by our employers. We may pay $300 a month out of our paycheck for our family, but the total cost for our family at the employer group level could be close to $2,000. Now, many employers may offer you subsidized healthcare for the first 6 months or 12 months after you've been laid off. We do know many employers that do that. After that, you have COBRA options. COBRA is a federally mandated benefit that allows you to continue that group coverage for up to 18 more months. Granted, you have to pay full freight. So I just mentioned $2,000 a month for your family. That's what it's going to cost you to continue your group coverage under COBRA. But the option that you may also want to consider would be the healthcare.gov, the marketplace. Depending on what your income level is and was, there are some great options available to you, and they are federally subsidized in many cases. Much of that is based on what your income levels are. So you can get good coverage at healthcare.gov for a minimal cost. And there's a lot of times it will be a lot less expensive than even the COBRA cost from your prior employer. Okay.
All righty, Michael, that was it. That was all of our
Thank you.
presentation today. Thank you, Michael, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And you will be, right after this webinar is ended, you will be redirected to our homepage where you can book an appointment with Michael or one of his colleagues, as I mentioned before. So please take advantage of that. Thank you all for joining us today and have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.